This month, we are talking about manage the game, players, coaches, fans, which basically means to me, and what we're going to go through today, is situations that aren't necessarily the rule, but what happened and can we manage what happened so the flow of the game continues on well? Because ultimately we are the keepers of the game, but we want the game to flow so well that nobody even knows that we're there. We don't have to do anything because it just manages it itself. Unfortunately, that's not how games typically work and things happen. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll show my first video. Here goes video number 1 of the night. Okay, first of all, hard foul, yes?
Yes.
Probably not flagrant, right? Just looked like
got up in the air. And
the kid got him up and kind of, waited for him to get hit, but got nailed hard. Yes?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Big time.
Do we do anything out of the ordinary on a play like this?
Move closer to the action for sure.
Make sure the player's okay. Right?
Yep.
You don't need to go and report the foul. You got it. You got the foul. Everyone saw the foul. You got it. Just stand there and wait. Because if the player is hurt and you're caught at the table reporting, and no one's going to say you're cold-hearted, but some people may see it and think that look, that official doesn't even care because you just took off. So just stand there and wait. There's no hurry to get anywhere. A small little gesture like that can go a long way to the coach, to the fans, to anyone watching that, oh, this guy, he actually cares about the kids, and as we should.
I would say use your voice, Josh, to, kind of ask everybody to kind of freeze, give them space, get away, right?
Okay, the other thing that I see, look at how packed that gym is. And if you all had your sound on, you could hear the reaction. It was kind of like everybody saw, oh my goodness, right? So you've got to be careful about what you're portraying to all of those people, because if a crowd turns on you, your game's going to be that much harder, right?
Right.
You can use your voice. I think that's a good idea. But I'm more concerned about you just getting in there, walking in, standing in there, making sure the kid's okay. If you see he's hurt a little bit, call the coach over. If you see his teammates starting to gather around him and you think that he's not doing well, tell them to, okay, back away, back up, let the trainer take care of it. Just little things like that. And then you can go report the foul. Now, I will say this, don't forget your foul amidst all that, because it's very easy to get caught up in the safety of a player. And then maybe it takes a minute or a minute and a half, or it depends how bad it is. And then you get to the table, you're like, oh, wait, who fouled him? Right? So remember that too, but just don't go running off.
We know that last part from experience. I've certainly been there.
Which part is that? The forgetting the foul?
Heck yeah. Big play, something happens. And then after you settle it all down, like the initial, whatever it was, you're like, oops.
Yeah. And I don't know about all of you, but it's happened to me too. Not necessarily in a hard foul situation like that, but you get it, you go to the table and you're like, shoot, I don't know who fouled. And then you got to look over your shoulder, right? And then you look like you don't know what you're doing. And yeah, so. All right.
In that play, though, the C had a nice coverage coming in and watching the players.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought that play was handled pretty well.
Okay.
All right. Play number 2.
Again, this layup's no good. Ridge, we're going the other way. That's going to be a technical foul.
All right. I'm going to play it again fast. Tell me what you think.
Diving in. His lap's no good. Ridgewood going the other way. That's going to be a technical foul.
I thought the C was in great position.
Oh, Atta way, Frank.
All right. The close doesn't really show us anything. It just shows you that technical foul was assessed when the kid wasn't even looking. Now, I'm not saying the kid didn't say something. He might very well have, as he was here, maybe he said something. Maybe he was mumbling on the way out. I'm not questioning why this technical foul was thrown. Not questioning it at all, because as we all know in games, some things happen that just don't show up on video that you can't ignore. I get that. But what I don't like here is, anyone tell me what I don't like?
When it was called.
When it was called. If it's called because he's saying something, I get it. I get it. But look what possibly might be happening. You just possibly took away an offensive, but not a drive, but their offensive
Advantage.
Thank you. They might have had an advantage. No, maybe not. There's like 4 of them up, so it might be okay. But my point is, we as officials need to think about what is the situation on the court, even for a technical foul, because you don't want to take that advantage away from the offensive team if it's against the defense, because then calling a technical foul maybe give them 2 points, but they might have gotten 2 points on a layup or a drive or whatnot. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Managing the game is knowing where you are in the game and not just reacting to a player who says something and you've got to get it, knowing that, okay, if I get that now, I'm going to take away that bucket. Now, again, that particular play, probably nothing because the 4 players were kind of in the back, but we should at least know that is what the situation is before we blow our whistle. Do we agree with that or no?
Yeah, I have a question, Josh.
Yes.
So in that case, let's say he let it play on, but he wants to administer the technical after, at an appropriate time, a minute later, 45 seconds later. How do you handle that? Or do you just let it go at that point?
Okay, so that's a great question. You can only wait so long. You can't just say, well, they still got it and they still got it and they still got it. You're going to give that initial push. If they're driving down, I'm going to let them take that initial push as soon as they pull that ball out, because they're not going to shoot it right away or pass it to someone for a shot. I'm going to assess the technical foul. Does that make sense?
It sure does.
Yeah. It's a fine line, and sometimes we fall short of it. And I guess it's better to react and get it right away than to wait too long and get it, because that looks worse. But especially if it happens in front of the coaches, it looked like that video did. Mm-hmm. He heard it. He knows it's coming. He's going to be fine with it being late. You might have to explain to the other coach, but yeah, don't wait too long. All right. Another technical foul. Watch again. It happens right near the ball handler where the traveling was called, okay? What do we think?
Wrong signal to signal the text. So should be the stop the clock, not foul, right? We shouldn't do a closed fist if we're going to issue a technical, correct?
Oh, I see. Right there where he puts his fist up.
But he had a travel first.
Okay.
Right. So that should be a stop clock signal, then travel, and then we have a tech, so it should be stop clock again. Tech, correct?
Okay, so he stops the clock here, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, calls the travel.
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts his fist up for the technical foul.
Yeah.
Is this correct?
No, he just gives him a
No.
Technically not, because this stops the clock for foul. but I think it's okay because he's just trying to portray, I got a foul here. It's going to be a technical foul, but correct. You don't have to do this because you don't have to stop the clock. You just blow your whistle and you can give the technical foul signal. Is that what you're stating, Frank?
Yeah, he already stopped the clock. When he had to travel, he already had stopped the clock.
He had already stopped the clock. The clock was already stopped. It was dead
Right.
ball.
I was under the impression that you still have to give a preliminary signal, put your hand up again to stop the clock. You can't just go technical foul signal right away, but I'm just jumping in here. Sorry, I can't. It's difficult for me to talk. I'm just jumping in. Sorry.
It's okay if you put it up. But again, technically, it is the signal to stop the clock for a foul. The clock has already been stopped.
Right.
So you don't need that signal because you're not stopping the clock. It's already stopped.
Yeah, how often do you actually see somebody who it's already a dead clock and you're walking along the floor and somebody says something, they never put their hand up and then, no, they just go boom.
Nope. You just blow your whistle
right.
and you give the technical foul.
Right.
And the technical foul signal is the preliminary signal. All right, so let's talk about, though, the contact that caused the technical foul. Do we like it? Do we not like it? Is there something else we could have done instead of a technical foul?
I think, the clock stopped, the action stopped. That's not a basketball play whatsoever. He went into him. I think it's a good call.
Let's go back to here. What is the time and the quarter and the score?
Third quarter, yeah.
34 to 28.
Midpoint, yeah.
4 minutes to go, so we still got a quarter and a half, and it's still pretty close. 6 points. Yeah.
6-point game.
Okay, so it's a close game. So after they get this travel, the kid walks into him here. Are you calling a technical foul for causing contact right here?
No, but his arm, his elbow.
Okay, all right, I'm not there yet. So just because he walks into him and causes some contact, probably not a technical foul. Now, again, if he's been a problem all game, it might be different. But let's just assume he's not a problem all game. He walks into him. I'm probably doing nothing. Would we agree with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
But then what does he do?
Hold on, wait. You're in control of this game. You don't want any, how can I say, anything, you don't want this in the game. So.
Agreed.
Okay. So you're in control of this game. You have to let them know, hey, we're going to do this game. We're going to play this game right. That's not playing right.
Okay. So Derek, do you think you can address this with just using your voice and having a talk to?
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I honestly think that is the first step we should, I don't want to say always, but the first step we should use is just our voice. Hey, knock it off. Hey, you don't need to do that. You walk into that. That's how fights start. Little things like that. Tell these kids, and these kids then are like, okay, he's watching me. He saw what I did. Okay.
Okay, I agree with that.
All right. What I don't like about this play, and I agree, I think a technical foul was warranted because this kid looks like he's trying to be sneaky by clapping, but what he does is he pushes him with his forearm and his elbow, and then starts clapping like, oh, what are you talking about? Oh, I'm just clapping, being happy. I think he did it on purpose.
Oh, of course he did.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I agree with the technical foul.
I think it's definitely a technical was warranted.
So this now
gotta whack him.
Yeah, so this now loses its talk to status and it goes into a technical foul because he just took it too far. Do we agree?
Yes.
Sure. Yep.
And I know, again, it's a fine line, but we have to make these determinations of, okay, no harm, no foul. I'm going to talk to the kid, or no, you can't do that. And to your point, Derek, we're going to play this right. We don't want this in this game because otherwise it's going to escalate. So I'm going to get it now.
Yes.
So you don't think that's major acting by number 3?
I think 3 absolutely acted and embellished the contact, but he embellished contact that was illegal and a little over the top, in my opinion.
Yeah, up near the face, the head.
So you kind of have to almost weigh your options of, yeah, he embellished, but if the kid wouldn't have come in with that elbow like that, I could have said, hey, you don't need to do that. He just bumped into you. You're okay. But as soon as he gives that elbow, then okay, now he's trying to get the call. Maybe in this game, he got bumped into a lot and he's now had it and he's trying to help get the call. Maybe he's a kid who embellishes everything, right? So again, as officials, we need to know which players do what and when and why they do it. It's easy to say, but I know it's not hard to do.
We have some Academy Award winners out there. Come on now.
We do.
Yes, we do.
And hopefully with the flopping rule, now it's not really meant for a play like this, but hopefully the flopping rule will help with some of that theater that these kids bring into the game. And if that goes away on maybe the block charges or the 3-point fall downs or whatever, that starts to dwindle. Maybe some of the other stuff will too. We'll have to wait and see how that turns out.
You could also look at that play and say he was actually provoking him by kind of stepping into him, and the guy just kind of went like that and then started clapping. But again, I think it goes to context of the game. What was happening before it?
And I think that clapping that he was doing was his disguise because he knew what he was doing, and he's thinking, if I just start clapping, maybe they won't notice.
Of course.
Yeah.
Or he was clapping the travel call.
Well, he was definitely clapping the travel call, yes. But what he's doing with the clapping is disguising his little, elbow.
Or, I mean, literally,
all right.
it was a taunt.
It was a bit of a taunt. I don't know about taunting. I don't know what the actual definition of taunt is, but okay. Facebook
but also,
play. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Just clapping towards someone in general is something to be wary of, because once you let that in, it's pretty easy to clap in someone's face, and then the kid gets up and shoves them right back. So,
is that what you meant by clapping? Like sometimes they clap in their face?
Oh, yeah.
That is definitely a taunting. In their face clapping is definitely taunting.
But a lot of times you kind of address that pregame. We're not going to have that. That's not how we play basketball. I don't know. My pregame, I definitely mention it and say we're going to play basketball at the highest level here, and we're not going to have any of that. How can I say it? Trying to be nice here. That hootenanny going on in this game.
Yes,
I think that's great.
Listen to the pregame instructions. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great to cover the pregame, but those kids aren't listening, and even if they do hear you,
true,
they get emotional and they just do things anyway. Just like adults, we see adults act stupid, and you say, "Why would you do that?" Well, when you get emotional, sometimes the thing in your brain flips off, and you do things. So, I'm not saying don't address it, but it's not going to make them go, "Oh yeah, okay, he called it in the pregame. I can't do it."
Teenage boys don't have their frontal lobe developed yet, so that's good. Trust me, I had one.
All right, let's move on. Our next one is going to be a Facebook play. I showed this one. Let's do this one first. I showed one just a couple days ago as a precursor to this meeting. So for those of you who are on our Facebook group, you've seen this and you've seen some of the comments. Let's watch it now and discuss. What do we think? I'm going to play
purposely done.
I'm going to play it slow again real quick, and then I'll play it fast again real quick, and then I'll play it slow. Shot in the air, ball goes in, Anna got away, starts to roll toward the division line. Officials eventually blow their whistle to stop play because it's too far away. But did we see there? Did the player try to kick it on purpose?
I don't think so.
Did the player?
Come on, really? Yes, he did.
Did the player try to avoid it?
Josh.
And it looks like he
certainly didn't try to avoid it.
He actually scooted to the right.
He was very crafty.
He looked down at it and did it at the. Come on, he was literally looking down at the ball and
stop the clock, give it back to the white team.
He could have
nothing.
Yeah, he could have tapped it back and as a gentleman, right?
Okay, what about you? Do we see gold 0 here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, he let it roll by.
Well, what about this? He just steps over it and says, screw it. I'm not picking that ball up. Is that anything?
You saw what his teammate did. It's not. I mean,
Delay of game.
The delay of game warning. That's what I'm doing.
Well, is it a delay?
The
Now
official
again,
asks for the ball.
on Facebook, a lot of people were saying, I'm doing a delay of game. I'm doing a delay of game. He did that on purpose. He can't do that. I'm going to address it. He's got to delay. But what is the definition in the rules book for a delay of game?
Anything obstructing the play, anything that obstructs the continuous play of the game. That's
all right. Article 3, interfering with the ball following a goal. That's probably where this would fall under. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but let's
believe he did it intentionally.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's say we thought it was an accident, or we're not sure. We're not sure if he did it on purpose. Okay? Are we still going to address it informally, or are we going to just watch and keep our eyes open in case it happens next time? Let me go back here. What is the time on the clock?
6:29.
What quarter?
First.
So we're not even 2 minutes in.
Yeah.
Right?
It's 2-2.
So do you think it's possible? Yeah, the kid looked at it. Yeah, he kind of hit it with his knee, but did he really try to kick it? Or is it possible that maybe he wasn't trying to be sinister?
Yes.
I know you're chuckling, but what I always like to give the benefit of the doubt to anybody. But
He's clearly looking down at the ball.
Well, my radar will go up and I will start watching. Who's going straight up delay a game right away?
I mean, it's early in the game.
I'm not going to go. It's early in the game, like you said. I might say something to the kid, and we're not going to have that in this game.
You would be in your right by rule because he interfered with the ball after a throw-in. It doesn't say anything about intent. Okay, so you'd be right. I just don't think it would be good management of the game.
Yeah.
Because
you could argue, Josh, the other way that the management of the game would be to call a delay a game. I mean, and I agree. I don't think it's egregious, but I mean, he certainly didn't try and get out of the way of the ball.
I got a bigger
walking
problem
over it also kind of accentuates it.
So,
yeah, I got a bigger problem with 0.
Okay. Is there anywhere in the rules book? I'm going to go up to the close. Is there anywhere in the rules book that says you have to get the ball for the other team?
No.
He's not under any obligation to pick up that ball. Now, I don't think that means you need to be a jerk and not do it. I mean, the nice thing is you just pick it up and you throw it to the official, but by rule, he doesn't have to.
If you call a delay now, you've got the whole rest of the game, and the next delay is going to be a technical and some little marginal thing like that. Then you've got the coach going, hey, that was the delay last time. Why isn't it delay now?
Yeah, absolutely. We have to address it.
Leave it alone.
I agree. Leave it alone.
All right. Now, I am in the middle of all of you because I'm not leaving this alone. But I'm also not calling a delay a game. It was enough for me, at the very least, to say to myself, keep an eye on that kid. He might be a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Agreed.
He might not be, but now he's on my radar. Or I think at the most what I would do is say, hey, 25. You didn't have to kick it. Or can you watch out next time? Or, hey, pick it up. It's right at your feet. Just pick it up for me, please. Something. So he knows I saw what happened and I'm not ignoring it. I'm simply choosing to do nothing at this point. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because you can. Yes, go ahead.
Well, the ball gets, if you advance this another 3 seconds, the ball gets to the top of the key. Are you going to whistle that and say, oh, I'm going to stop clock myself?
Of course.
Well, I don't know that he did.
Well, listen to the audio. The whistle was blown further past further past that. Here we go. Let's see. Okay, now that official at the division line is yours truly.
Yeah, it looks just like you.
Okay, and I'll tell you, this game was like years ago, but I remember this play specifically, which is why I clipped it. And I don't know if I don't think I saw him kick the ball. I'm kind of looking away, but I see the ball rolling, and I see it rolling, and I don't like to stop play when the ball rolls away unless it gets so far away. Okay, where is this ball rolling to?
Half court.
Toward the volleyball line.
To gold zero. It's rolling to gold zero. What is any reasonable person going to say to themselves? Oh, he'll pick it up. It's rolling to him, and he'll throw it back. Right?
Of course. Yep.
And that's exactly what I'm thinking. And then as soon as he doesn't pick it up, I'm like, you jerk. Well, I got to stop playing now because you can't just let it continue to roll, right?
Right.
But if he had picked it up and thrown it back, I think we would have been okay with that time continuing to run. Do you guys agree or not? It's 6:24 in the first quarter. It's not 24 seconds left in the fourth. Different situation. Calls for a different whistle cadence. But here, I think if we just, he picks it up. Okay, we're good to go. We can continue on. And nobody's breaking. Nobody's fast breaking or anything. I don't know. I just think, to me, this is either a talk to, or personally, my radar's going up and I'm going to start watching.
Also, White makes zero effort to hustle this ball into play. It'd be different if they were like trying to get the ball and Gold were booting it around. But they're walking around the floor. If they don't care, I don't care.
Nobody seems to care.
Right. So if White is not in a hurry to get the ball, why don't we just let it roll, let the clock run? If you being the official, if you wanted to step in 2 or 3 steps, grab it, throw it back, just let the clock run.
That's true, except, and I'm going to have to paraphrase and guess because such an obscure rule, but I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in the rule that says if the ball gets too far away, you're supposed to stop it. Maybe that's just something I've been taught my whole career.
I can't find it. I think it's just something we've always done.
Maybe it's something we've always been taught. You're right. Now
we've seen other people do it.
After this meeting, Bob, I'm going to scour the rules book. Yeah, you don't want time to just run off and it takes a minute to get that ball back. I mean, that's not really fair either. But 15, 20 seconds, I'm going to allow. That's a lot of time, but I'm going to allow as long as we're making an effort to get the ball back. But as soon as no one's making an effort, we have to then make the effort to bring the ball back. Does that make sense? All right. I'm going to play this one next. Oh, same game. All right. What did we see?
Right there. I'm glad you see that? That's 0 again. Okay. Can you roll it just a little bit more?
So you're telling me 0 is a jerk.
Yeah.
All right. What do we see here? What's happening?
He's administrating from the wrong side of the player.
Bingo.
All right. So this is not a mechanics meeting. Thank you very much.
Sorry.
What is happening between 0 and 5?
A love fest. A lot of shenanigans going on.
They're both kind of going at each other. Yeah. 5 White kind of runs into gold 0, but then gold 0's like, fine, I'm going to kind of hook you and push back. And so they're both kind of chicken fighting. Would we agree?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I really like the official came out. He didn't even blow his whistle to start the throwing yet. He came out and said something to him. I'm just going to assume he said, knock it off, guys, or we haven't started yet, or are you all done because we want to play basketball or something, right? Just to say we're not going to have that. I really like that because you're setting the tone that I'm in charge. I'm going to decide what is allowed and not allowed. Yes?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Here's what I don't like about this play. All right, let's go back. Now we're going to do the throw-in again. And what do those two do?
They go right back at it.
Same business. Now, maybe gold a little bit less than 5 white, but they didn't really clean up their act. So, in my opinion, whether it's right or wrong, I've talked to him. One of my partners should come in and get a quick foul here because he's kind of holding them. You've just been talked to by the official. Tweet, foul.
Kinda. Yeah.
That's going to now speak even louder, saying, I tried to help you. You didn't want to listen. I'm going to address it with a foul.
And look at the other two dancing in the lane down there, 24, and they both have their arms on each other.
Yeah, they're pushing back and forth too. That's a good pickup. There's a lot of stuff going here, and everyone is overreacting because why? They want to, get the call. These are moments in the game where we have to see this stuff happening, and we have to address it somehow, whether it's formally with a technical foul or maybe just a regular foul or a talk to or something. Now, I'm not suggesting we give technical fouls for this, but what I'm suggesting is we should do something. I am I am usually more a talk to kind of guy than I am about a technical foul, but I have my faults too. I have moments where I'm too quick on a technical foul, or maybe they've been doing it all game and I'm not going to put up with it anymore, or whatever it may be. So technical fouls can be warranted in these situations depending on the circumstances, but something needs to be said because we are the ones who are controlling this game. And if we do nothing, they will then take over. And then you get that parent yelling, you're going to lose control or gain control, or, those people. And those people really are right.
Yeah.
Isn't this a good spot for a double foul?
Another way, Josh, is the first go around where the ref stepped in, just call a double foul on both of them.
You could, but I think, again, this official is trying to give the benefit of the doubt to these players.
I agree. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying another alternative would be, okay, I'm penalizing both of you now.
Yeah, we could have a foul, a possible foul. Yeah. Mike, you had a question. Mr. Warren, I thought.
The second time, I thought that would be a good spot for a double foul because he just warmed them.
Yeah.
You're acknowledging I'm backing up what I say.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that time for someone else to blow the whistle after you verbally warn him? I mean, I got it because he has to concentrate on throwing the ball in and doing what he has to do, but you still have your team there with you. Okay, hey, he's already warned you. You're not doing it. Boom, here comes the whistle. We got you.
It would be nice if your partner could come in, but not necessarily. If you warn them and then you see it, you can get it. Now, here's why I don't like a double foul on that second go around after the first talk to, because it looks as though Gold Zero is trying to be a stand-up citizen this go around. And what does 5 white do? 5 white's the one who starts initiating all the body contact again. I think it would be unfair to put this on Gold Zero at the second go around.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So not to just to prove a point, but at that point, if one of them is trying to continue to initiate contact after we've told them up, then get that one person. If they both are still going at each other, you could do a double, but be smart. Don't just penalize because you want to make a point.
I'm wondering why the pep band is so close to the darn floor.
Well, because they're that good. They where else are they going to put that drum set?
Yeah. Around the corner.
Now, Josh, would it be safe to say that you would call basically a hold on 5 white here?
Absolutely, I would call a hold. 100%.
Well, yeah, that's what he's doing.
Got his arm right around him.
Now, in a regular, if there was no talk or anything, I'm letting all of this go. I'm letting it go because this is what they do. This is what they try to cause havoc. He breaks free, no problem. Okay, but we just talked to them. And so that, again, raises my radar and say, I need to start managing this game a little bit tighter because they're not listening to me. I'm trying to help them. They're not listening. Fine. I will help you help yourself by giving you a foul.
So, Josh, what happened in your pregame? Was there any understanding that these two are highly competitive, and did you have any understanding about them in advance?
The pregame before, amongst the officials in the locker room?
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was too long ago, but I don't think so. It's a non-conference game. It was in a gym that, at least for me, I don't normally work. So it
That's way out there. Yeah.
didn't have a ton of backstory, but games like that very quickly reveal themselves. And whether it's a rivalry or not, at that particular game, you can see they're kind of going at it. And then you as an official have to determine how physical are we going to let them play. Right? And the question or the answers could be different from game to game. Again, probably one of my weaknesses, I tend to let players play more than they probably should because I really think they can work through that self on their own without it turning into something. And if it does start to turn into something, it's generally relatively easy to see it boiling up, right? You can see where, okay, all the physical that we're letting play is now starting to, fine, I'm going to come get it. Maybe to my fault, but I don't like blowing my whistle a lot because people are there to watch basketball. They're not here to watch me blow my whistle and flex my authority muscle. They don't care. They want to see their kid score 2 points, or they want to see a matchup in the post and look at that spin move. And right, that's what they want to see. So I try to allow that to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you, Josh, on that particular play, especially after he had talked to them. I kind of feel like not calling a foul on the white player, number 5 or whatever his number was, it kind of prevented them from running their out of bounds play, which I feel like was a disadvantage. I mean, by holding and chucking that kid. So after giving them the warning, even though I agree with you, I'd like to let him play through it. He kind of prevented them from running their out of bounds play by doing that physical play. So I probably would have whistled him right there. And I know that's a judgment call, but I didn't like the fact that he made him, leave the area when they were trying to do obviously something I felt like in the paint.
Yeah, but we also don't want to penalize good defense, even though that wasn't good defense there, but defense that tries to prevent that play from running. So it's a fine line. A lot of this stuff is a fine line as to when do we step in and when do we allow it to happen.
100%.
All right, let's move on to Okay, did you see what happened there? Not the play, but what happened after the play? From all of the officials.
Holding ranks on them.
Okay, hard foul, and look at 22 blue.
Mm-hmm.
What does he do?
Gives him a little bump.
Hard foul. Who fouled him? It was 22 blue. Hard foul by 22 blue. And then he looks at him. He stares at him. He starts walking toward him while he's staring at him. He doesn't say anything to him. And then he continues to walk. So there's a bump. What are we doing on this?
Talk to.
Look at the lead who calls a foul.
He's watching.
Did you see how he stopped?
Yeah, he's watching.
Because he saw the bump. And he's like, oh, wait a second. I need to make sure this doesn't escalate to something else because that's not basketball.
No.
Let's go back here.
Looks like the player getting up said something too.
Maybe. If I remember this game correctly, I don't think he did. I think it was just all that, who's tougher than who by bumping into each other. Look at the trail. You see how the trail's coming down? Look at the trail come in.
Yeah.
What's the trail doing?
Nothing.
Talking.
Nothing? What's he doing?
He's got to be saying something.
Talking right to 22.
He is talking to 22 because he saw the whole thing too. And that's what I really like about this clip is both the lead and the trail are handling the situation, and the lead who called the foul and knows that they have to report sees that their partner is addressing the situation, and says, okay, I can leave this now because my partner's got it.
Oh, trail, yeah. Well,
That's being a good partner.
yeah, that is. I thought it was, look at,
saw.
C just walked right by. I was wondering what he was doing.
I don't think C really.
He's right there. There he goes.
C's out of this play. I don't know if he doesn't want to be part of it, if he didn't see it.
Yeah, okay.
I think he came in to help out. I mean,
and that's okay. Not every official has to see every play.
Right.
At least one official needs to, and if two officials do, great. And in this one, we had two, and they kind of coordinated and took care of it. So I don't know if you've all heard this before, but you need to be a good partner. I was talking to a friend of mine. I hate cliches. I hate when people say referee the defense, be a good partner. They're all good things to say and good things to do, but nobody ever tells you, what does that mean? They just throw the phrase out there and everyone goes, yeah, that's great. Be a good. Well, what does be a good partner mean? Be a good partner to me could mean don't call in my area. If you call in my area, you're not being a good partner. Or maybe it means call in my area because I need some help. I struggle with this or that. That could be being a good partner. So you kind of have to think about what does that mean, at least to your crew at the time. I digress.
Calling official walk through to players on that last play too.
Yeah, he's not a very good official, Jacob.
Your words.
I try to talk to him a lot. He just doesn't listen.
I thought he did a great job on
All
that.
right. All right. I'm just going to let this play and see. Turn your volumes up so you can hear the action. And I'm curious what you have to say. Oh, I haven't marked out. I didn't realize I haven't marked out.
Recreator calls number 14, Sheldon Bucks, his scored. Checking into the game for the Red Raiders, number 32, Jeffrey Cruikshank.
Wow.
Okay, first of all, I don't know if you can make out, the official yells, sit down.
Yep.
And you can't see it on the video, but the entire bench is standing. Okay? And then, of course, there's a fan back there that yells out, sit down, because they're, want to be a jerk or whatever.
You told them twice.
I told them twice. And that's not the first time that they've been told this game. We are in the third period with 2 minutes to go. They haven't been told multiple times, but they have been told once before. And then they're standing up again. And I don't remember who asked me about the pregame in the last game. In this pregame, there is an official in the stands who is known to the crew that came to us and said, hey, just so you know, we saw this team last week. They like to stand on the bench. And they try to be sneaky about it. They'll stand when you're on one end of the court, and then they'll sit down when you get to the other end. Okay, that's good information. I'm not going to go looking for trouble. But sure enough, by the third period, they weren't listening. We told them to sit down, and they didn't want to listen. So I yelled. That official yelled. Because I'd had it. And in order to manage this game of those players, and I don't think the coach really cared one bit way or the other, an authoritative voice yelling across the floor gave the impression that I am in control of this game and you will listen to me. Now, I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, or maybe it's the wrong thing to do, but I felt as though you don't want to listen to me being nice, then I'm not going to be nice, and I'm going to look like I'm a little bit more of a jerk. And I will tell you this, they didn't stand up the rest of the game. So that little trick worked in this game. But what do you guys think about that technique? Good, bad, indifferent?
It worked.
Oh, yeah, I like it. We're going to manage the game, and this is how it's going to be.
I know a lot of people that don't like yelling. And I don't really like yelling either, but sometimes it's warranted. And someone told me once, now I don't use this with swearing, but someone back in the 80s when they were reffing, they'd say, if a coach swore at me, I felt like it gave me license to swear back at them. And that might have worked in the 80s. in today's day and age, obviously we can't do that. But if a coach, I use it. If a coach yells at me, I'll yell back. I got no problem. You're not going to show me up. I'm not going to be a jerk, but I am going to raise my voice like you're raising my voice. Do I do that every time? No. Sometimes you read the situation and you go over and maybe you talk to him and say, hey, coach, you don't need to yell. Sometimes you do have to yell. You know what I'm saying? So you don't be afraid to not do what maybe you feel like you should do at the moment. Maybe that is exactly what it needs. That makes sense. I know it's very vague, but I think people go to camps and they're told, do this, don't do this, don't do this. Sometimes you just out the window. Sometimes in order to gain control of the game, you've got to do something that asserts your authority.
I agree.
All right.
I would say in most instances, yelling across the court, though, is risky because if someone from the bench yells anything back, boy, you're in a dicey situation, especially if it's something unsavory.
Well, that is a great point. It is risky. And you need to be prepared to follow up if it doesn't go the way you want it to go. Now, that doesn't mean follow up with a technical foul. Maybe you just have to come in and handle it differently to keep it from getting a technical foul. Maybe it is a technical foul, depending on how it happens after. But if you do that, you need to be prepared to stand up for yourself. You can't say, that's it, we're done, I'm not doing this anymore. And then they say something snappy back and like, okay, I'll go over here, right? Then you just lost even more credibility because you tried to stand up for yourself and they just proved that you can't stand up to yourself. Does that make sense?
Hey, Josh, I got something.
I'm not suggesting you yell across the floor. All I'm saying is sometimes you're going to get that feeling of, I got to do this. And maybe it's okay. Question.
No, I got something. I had a game probably 2 years ago, maybe 3, but I had a situation where the coach was just complaining about every single thing in the game. And I'd had the same situation the night before and I'd had my fill of it. and I warned him. And then he continued to yell, and I teed him up. And now I yelled at him from across the court, which I've never yelled at a coach across the floor before. But I did. I teed him up. He was down by 9 points. He sat down on the bench, coached the game, won the game by 11. So sometimes the tee is a good thing.
Well, and these coaches sometimes do that stuff because they want to get a technical foul because it helps motivate their team.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, to your point, sometimes they get teed up and then they stop complaining because they can't anymore. And they actually coach their team and then their team does better because they're coaching. So I don't worry about that. I don't worry about any of that. I worry about if you're being disrespectful to me, if I give you an opportunity and I try to give opportunity in all my games. I'm always giving the benefit of the doubt. And if you don't want to take it and want to continue on, then I'm going to give you a technical foul. That's fine with me. It's part of the game. I'm not just going to hand it out like candy, but I'm also not afraid to dish it out if it needs to be dished. This is a good one. Pay close attention. What happened?
Players.
What happened?
6 players on the floor. 6 players.
We've got a sub coming in. Okay. All right. Come on in, sub. Oh, nobody waved him in.
Right.
Yeah, that's not good.
Sub coming in. That's fine. That's all right. It happens.
Everybody's walking over
Oh,
there.
here comes another one. He waves
There's
this
another
one in.
yeah.
Okay. Come on in.
Only one
And
left.
what does the official see? One player on, one player off. Yes?
Yes.
All right. Let's get going. But wait, how many players on the floor?
6.
Here's my question. The official was correct. It's a technical foul. We all know if you play with 6 players on the floor, it's a technical foul. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Could this have been avoided?
Yeah, what's the
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes, your partner's supposed to count them for you.
rush? Right.
Okay. I disagree with that statement. We are all supposed to count
Together.
them.
Absolutely.
It's
Now,
not a
let me
mechanic
ask you
in the
this.
book. There's nowhere in the mechanics book you're going to find that it says count all the players before you start. It doesn't say that. It is on the coach to ensure he has 5 players on the court, but we sure can help.
Yes.
Right?
Let me ask you this quick question. When you hand the ball in, are you making eye contact with your partners? Making sure that you're supposed to manage the game, and everybody's supposed to know who's on the court, who's not on the court. You wave them in, you wave them out. You're looking at this. This guy right here, he only just one wave. I don't know if he's aware at that point that no one else came out of the game. I'm just saying here.
Well, I think what I see here is not impugning the crew, but I see a crew here that didn't communicate whatsoever.
With each other. Absolutely.
Not a thumb up, not a hand up wave, nothing. And then the trail just says, okay, we're ready to go. We're going to bounce it in. I think not that you have to pregame this, but I think as officials, if we can all agree that, hey, let's all look at each other before we start it. Let's all have a thumb up. Absolutely. Let's have a nod. Let's do something. So I know everyone's the same. Now, we all do this. We have moments where we don't count or we don't watch or we take a break, not on purpose. And this stuff happens. And again, it's on the coach. It is now on the coach and the players to do it correctly, not on us. But I do think we can help by if we just not, especially the trail, especially who's ever handing or tossing the ball for the throw-in. If you're administering the throw-in, count the players quick, especially on a sub. If there's a sub coming in, just make sure. But do you see the coach? Look at the coach.
Get off the floor.
He's mad at his player.
Yeah.
And he should be mad at his player. So he didn't have any fault with the officials here. But you know, again, if we can do what we can to avoid that, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and in the video, you see the other coach. He probably is saying something to the official. They have 6 kids on the floor.
Correct. The other coach wants it. All right. Okay. Did anybody see what happened there?
It's a lot of whistling going on there, buddy.
It's a lot of whistling. Do we see what the time and score is?
Yeah.
What is it?
1 minute and 45 seconds.
Overtime.
It's
overtime. They shouldn't have put a 5 up there, but I'm glad they did because now we know this is an overtime game. Obviously, this is when we got the 10 fouls, so we're double bonus. And it's a 3-point game at this point with just under 2 minutes to play. All right. So contested game, competitive game. All right. As we play this through, we've got kind of a scrum for the ball here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Center official calls a foul. Looks like he calls a reach in foul here. Maybe he got him. Maybe he didn't. I don't know, but that's what the official calls. What happens after that? I'm going to go to the slow to see if you can see what happens after that. I think he might have knocked the ball loose. Maybe not if you play it slow. Do you see what the player is doing?
Screaming.
He's addressing the official.
Oh, he got teed up.
Teed up.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see?
I think he was complaining about it.
Did you see his partner's like, oh no, I see what's coming. Look at his teammate.
He's
No.
He must have realized who was ref in that game.
Okay, so now again, here's some context because again, it was my game. Some context. It was an overtime game, and this player had been warned prior to his attitude. He was not yelling. He was laughing. He was laughing loudly and emphatically. You saw his actions, and it was clear that he was trying to show up the official because he thought the call was a bad call. Maybe it was a bad call, but you can't act like that. And he had been warned. Are we giving a technical foul? I'm asking you, are we giving a technical foul for laughing Or are you going to try and allow that to happen and try and manage it down?
Well, it sounds like you did already. You warned him once, right? I mean, you previously warned him, so I think you tried to manage it earlier in the game, right?
The player we tried to manage the player earlier, and he's one of those players, what we call a GFUer, right? They just do things that they're not quite over the line. They're not like egregious, but every little thing is like, that's not right. You can't do that. Come on now. And it just builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. And then you get to the point where now, as officials, you've had it. It's up to here. And you've given them opportunity. But that doesn't necessarily mean, does that mean a technical foul is okay at that point? I mean, I'm asking you all, what do you think?
I mean, it was clear that he was not hiding his emotions there, and he was clearly not happy with your call. So I would say, showing up the official, I would give him a T.
Does it matter that it's a 3-point game in an overtime game?
No.
Does that change the way you think?
No. Not for that. Not for that. No. And as you said, he was warned. You gave him every benefit of the doubt. He's disrespecting the referee, and he's disrespecting the game right there.
I think the biggest validation is watching his teammate try and take control before something happens. Even his teammate knows, what are you doing?
He knew it right away. He knew it right away. His teammate knew it right away. Yeah.
So it's not an action that it's like it came out of nowhere. It shows up on video and his teammate looks frantic to try and stop it. Now, could we have handled it differently? I suppose we could have. But as we all know, in overtime games, they are already up here just because of the competitiveness, right? So I just bring up because we have to constantly ask and tell ourselves to stay even as much as we can. All right.
I got to ask you, Josh, did you get any negative feedback from the coach, player's coach, post game, or what was his reaction or her reaction?
Well, that's a whole different story because that coach, one, is known as being a complainer. And he complained literally from the toss of the ball. He didn't like the tossed ball all the way through, the whole way, complained about everything. And
what school was that?
Well, I'm not going to say the school, but it's in the Chicagoland area, and that coach is retired. So my point is, yeah, I heard something from him, but that's what we expected because we heard from him all game. So at that point, for me and my partners, we didn't care. We're in control of the game. We're going to decide what can and can't be done. And you yelling at me is not going to change whether I allow it to happen or not.
Yep.
Especially, I wish coaches would know more. The more you yell and complain, the less tolerant I am of you, and you're not going to get anything from me. Yeah, if you're nice to me and only complain once or twice in a game, I'm probably going to listen to you.
I'm going to pay attention. Yeah. And no surprise that his player acts that way then, right? So.
Absolutely.
All right. How was that? Was it vague enough? Or was it too vague? Was it?
That's great.
It's just terribly important that and I know this was mostly about players. And I actually had one on a fan. I think I played before where the fan came on the floor, but I didn't have time to play that. We as officials need to manage these players, and we need to allow these players to correct their action before giving them a tech, but we also have to give them a technical foul if they deserve it. So it's hard. This is why as officials, I mean, it's not an easy job, right? We have to kind of be the mediator in between everything.
Josh, I have a question about giving a warning. We've been taught the last few years to, feel free to use the warning, a verbal warning, stop sign, and then I'm giving you a warning, I'm going and putting it in the book. But generally, the example that we talk about is with a coach. When you gave this player a warning, did you just talk to him and maybe make it clear to his coach, hey, I'm talking to your player right now, so that it's clear there's something going on here, right? Or did you go put it in the book? Is it appropriate to put the warning on the player in the book, or is that only for a coach?
That's a great question. If you're going to warn a player, I'm honestly truly okay with you telling that player, knock it off or hold it down, but then make sure that you also tell the coach. Because that player might brush you off. They might necessarily not have heard you properly. They're not really listening. If you go to the coach has the power and authority to correct his player. And if that player does not correct after you've told the coach, it's on the coach, right? There's no official warning in the book for a player.
No.
Right? It's a bench warning. So the coach, assistant coach, any players on the bench, that's the warning where you go, okay, poop, poop, official warning. But on a floor, technically there's no warning for a player on the floor. There's nothing in the rules book about giving them warning. That's just the common courtesy that I believe we all should give players. Because again, they're high school kids. They're going to do things that are stupid. I think Jim was saying about their frontal lobe not being developed well enough. And if you give them the opportunity, most kids go, oh, okay, sorry, ref, I didn't, right? Even when they do something stupid, they bring it down because they don't want to get a technical foul either. So I'm a big believer in giving them chances because most players will correct their own action.
Yep.
And if you tell the coach and the coach addresses it and the player acts up again, wait and see if the coach addresses it again. Because the coach may very well keep trying and trying and trying. And to me, honestly, depending how egregious the action is, if the coach keeps trying, I'm going to let the coach try and take care of it because he's the one, again, who's the authority of those kids.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can't, but all right. Let's look at the training schedule for next month. What is next month? October? We're going to do flopping. Most of our stuff's going to be in flopping, and I believe we'll probably go over the hour because we're going to talk about all of the rules changes that are coming up just so we can review them. Because there's a few things that I think we should know what's good, but it shouldn't take up a ton of time. But I got lots of videos on flopping, and I really want to talk about how we should handle this because I really think we're going to have a problem this year with flopping. We're going to have a lot of inconsistency in the way it's called and not called. And you're going to have a lot of teams and coaches and players that aren't going to know what to do because last week this guy called a flop on me, and this week you're letting this guy do it and you didn't call it on him. And, and you're going to, I really believe you're going to have some guys that are going to call a flop for everything. And you're going to have some guys that are going to call nothing. And there's going to be very few of us that are in the middle. I don't even know how I'm going to react because it's new and there's been very little direction and kind of how to do it. And what really is a flopping? How is it ruled on? It's ruled on your judgment of embellishment, but we'll go over that next month. We can discuss about it more. Thank you guys all for coming in tonight.
Josh.
And I guess we'll see you next month.
Great. Thank you.
Nice job, Josh. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Josh.
Take care.
Great
guys.
job as usual, Josh. Good job.
Thanks, Josh. See ya.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
Take care.